Hello everyone, I'm David Chan, concertmaster of the MET Orchestra in New York and a faculty member of the Taipei Music Academy and Festival. It's about time to apply to TMAF 2021, and as usual, each applicant has to record an online audition. I think actually online audition in a lot of ways is the same as the live audition. You have to make a good impression. So even visually, dress well, right? I mean, it doesn't mean you have to be in a tuxedo. It doesn't have to be the most dressed up, but even if you're dressed casually, wear something clean that makes a good impression. Musically, I think so often promising young artists, they get so wrapped up in so many details, shifting, technique, intonation, and they forget one of the most fundamental things, which is sound. It sounds silly to say that, but it can actually get forgotten. So for me, one of the very first impressions is the quality of the sound. I think you want to avoid fundamental mistakes like rhythm, intonation, sound quality. These things are noticed very, very quickly. So that's just at a very fundamental level. The jury is hoping to hear things that are very fundamentally sound. And then beyond that, I think you have to just think about phrasing, because at this level of students, everyone plays well, everyone plays the notes, but you can distinguish yourself from the others by having something to say. So make music, make phrases. So this beginning of the Allemande from the D minor partita that you just heard, even though it doesn't have many double stops, which many of the Bach sonatas and partitas are famous for, you still have this sense of line and harmony and rhythm, because the harmony, the complete chords are there, but they're just written out across a long line. So we still have to walk our way through the entire phrase and feel how the harmony leads from one direction to the next. So whether you play a fugue with many double and triple stops, or you play this sort of Allemande or courante that's more linear, we can learn a lot about your playing and your musicianship. We always ask for Bach in an audition, right? And I think it's because Bach in itself is a complete test of a musician. You could practically start and finish an audition with Bach and know everything you need to know. For the violinist, I guess Mozart concerto would be the same thing, except in these pandemic times, in a way it's easier because Bach you can play unaccompanied. But why is it a complete test? In just one instrument we hear harmony, rhythm, line, the complete sense as a musician of your ability both musically and technically. I think it's a very good idea to include chamber music on this type of audition because we see a different aspect of the player. But I think in terms of the actual preparation, it's the same as solo or orchestra. You have to know more than just your part. You have to know what the other instruments play, what it sounds like as a whole, and not just play the notes. So this year's TMAF violin audition, we have an excerpt from Tchaikovsky's string sextet known as the Souvenir de Florence. And if you just look at the notes, it seems not very complicated. Maybe very pretty, but nothing very complicated. But when we listen to all the parts and we understand that three of the other instruments play this pizzicato accompaniment, then you realize, it's like a serenade. So if you keep this feeling when you play, maybe it's something more like right? So then it becomes a test, not so much of technique, but of romantic style and feeling. Orchestra excerpts is one of the modern phenomenons now of course, to enter into a professional orchestra, but even for schools and summer festivals, it's a mandatory part of our training and audition repertoire. And I would really like to emphasize that the word excerpt, we have to remember that. It's an excerpt from a great piece of music. It's not a complete test in itself. It's just a portion of a piece of music. So just like what I said about preparing for chamber music excerpts, again that word, is we have to understand what the whole context is, what our role is in the music and how it functions. For example, for violin this year we have 2 movements from Prokofiev's Classical Symphony, his first symphony. And if we take the beginning of the second movement, again, it looks like nothing on the page. But if we play like this, we don't show an understanding of what's happening overall in the music. This is not a melody. This is a pattern that sets the background for the melody to come in over. So even when we play alone, we have to phrase in a way that shows a longer line and shows an understanding of that. So it might be something more like, so it's going forward. And then the first violin has a difficult task to go to the high note where the melody starts. We have to be careful not to do this sort of thing, but we have to find a way to very beautifully come in. And again, not be note by note, but to make a complete line. So even though it's just an excerpt cut out of a larger piece of music, it's an opportunity to show a lot of things that you have as a musician. So what I would like to encourage all of you to do is when you prepare your orchestra excerpts, just like your concerto or your solo Bach, don't just play notes, play complete phrases, show everything you have as a musician so that the people who are listening get a sense of you not taking a test, but really performing music.